Yeah, Gershom will be taking roll call.
Oh, okay, beautiful. Okay, then welcome everyone. Like I said, we're gonna start the meeting 10:04, and Gerson. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I apologize.
Okay, no worries.
Okay. So do you need anything from the attendees?
Uh, no, no, I do not. So I'll just be taking a role based on the attendees, and I have the roster on here, so I'll just mark everyone down.
Okay,
Yeah,
beautiful. Thank you.
no problem.
And I am not sure, but I think that I have to read this. I think that happened last meeting as well. So teleconference guidance, public attendees will be allowed to speak only during public comment periods on the agenda or if asked to address the board. Unless you are speaking, it is being requested that all public attendees and board members please mute your microphones during the meeting so that everyone can hear the meeting effectively. Please be advised that this meeting will be recorded and posted for the public, and that already started about a minute or two ago.
And then, hello, everybody. I wanted to apologize for me being my timeliness to this meeting. I am out in San Jacinto at the river bottom, just trying to do some good work out here, but I do apologize. But I am here today with you all. I won't be able to turn on my camera because I'm in a vehicle. But Rashana, team, Linda, thank you guys. But I'm here to do what I need to do to help lead this EFSP meeting today.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you.
Absolutely. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and roll into agenda item 2 today, which is approval of the minutes. We have a recommended motion today to approve the minutes for the meeting that occurred on February 28th, 2024 with the local board. Do I have anybody that would like to make the approve the recommended motion?
I will stand with Catholic Charities. I recommend to approve the motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
This is Donna Dahl. I will second it.
Thank you, Donna Dahl, for the second. Do we have anybody who would like to abstain? With that being said, we can continue to move on. Thank you.
Gina,
Yes?
I'm sorry to butt in. I just want to confirm with Gershom that we do have that we did meet quorum.
I see somebody just tried to come through on the they're in the lobby as well. They've been added. Perfect.
Are you frozen, Gershom? Oh no.
Did we lose Gina? Sorry, I can't hear her.
Well, Gina's on. I think we wanted to make sure that we have established quorum with the on for the local board members.
No, yeah. We established quorum. Sorry, I wanted to make sure if Gina was still in the meeting. I don't know if we lost her.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, there we go. Perfect.
So since we did meet quorum, then I think we can, just to reiterate this one, we had a first and a second to approve the minutes. So with that being said, the minutes for the meeting that occurred on February 28th have been approved. Action item number 3, public comment. Members of the public are encouraged to address the local board. Each speaker should begin by identifying themselves for the record, and they are allowed 3 minutes each to speak. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to have a time to have a public comment? Going once, going twice. I think it's okay to continue moving on as we do not have anybody here who would like to have a public comment. Item number 4, we have standing items on our agenda. We're going to go into 4A, which is phase 39, the ARPA-R, and the 40 expenditure deadline. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Ms. Roshana. Can you please enlighten us? What are we doing here?
So thank you, Madam Chair, for that. So it's just a reminder that our phase 39 ARPA-R and 40 expenditure deadline has been extended to December 31st of 2024. So all of our phases are running concurrently with the same expenditure deadline of December 31st of 2024. Any questions regarding that? No. If you would like, I can move on to the 4B.
Yes, please. I think you are cleared and ready to go.
Okay. So item 4B is the HMIS requirements for the rental assistance and other sheltering, which is the motel assistance. In the past, local board has made it a policy that all agencies that are providing rental assistance and motel assistance are required to enter that project and those individuals or households into HMIS. And the purpose of that is trying to avoid the duplication of services, being that the rental assistance and the other sheltering has that 90-day maximum amount of assistance in one phase that we have to try to do our due diligence so that we won't go over that maximum amount of assistance. So all agencies who are receiving rental assistance and other sheltering, which is the motel assistance, must complete an HMIS project setup, and must set up that project in HMIS and enter their household's information as well as those services into HMIS. Any questions regarding that? I'm hearing nothing, so no questions. However, do you guys, or does the local board, or do you guys feel that it may be beneficial to have our HMIS team come and do a training for HMIS? I feel like most of the organizations have been receiving the services they've been entering into HMIS.
Hey, Roshana, this
Hi,
is Mark. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, after you, Mark. I do apologize.
Roshana, this is Mark Davis, and I know you saw the email that I had sent. My only concern with the HMIS is just the turnaround of the response itself, and I think this is a great idea, but I just think the turnaround needs to be a lot quicker on the HMIS side.
Okay, noted. And I saw Linda's hand as well.
Thank you, Roshana. I was going to mention something about HMIS, but I know that we will have that discussion under the new business. So I'll mention it at that point.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And then Roshana, for me to answer your question, I do believe that more training would definitely be a benefit to our individuals and our staff that's utilizing HMIS. I actually, as I was leaving the San Jacinto River Bottom, I was approached by a staff member who has been working with the county for quite some time, a number of years, and he had very literally just asked me for this exactly right here. He wanted to get more training in HMIS. And this is an individual who has been doing outreach for quite some time. So even for individuals and staff who has been existing, I think it's really important to give them that touch again on HMIS, because what he reported to me was that he was informally trained. And now what they're finding out is that there's errors and there's different type of discrepancies occurring through that. So it would be a good time to, for at least for him to do a retraining, so that way they can learn how to properly and accurately enter the information.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
All right, I think it's okay to continue moving on. All right, so number 5, new business. So 5A, this is phase 41 of the funding recommendations, complete an LRO certification. So I am going to hand it back over to Rashana.
Hello again. We've already, the board approved the phase 41 recommendations in February. So once you guys should receive, should be able to now to go into your portal and sign the LRO certifications, to include the lobbying certificate if you got more over $100,000. So just make sure that you guys are going in and completing those LRO certifications. The board plans was recently submitted. It was one thing that we were waiting on to submit it, but we have that information now. But you guys should be able to go into the portal and not complete, but sign the LRO certifications. Those without the signature of the LRL certifications, the agencies will not be getting the first payment. Payments for all of our phases come out it comes out twice. You receive the first half automatically, and then the second half you have to request it. But the first half will not automatically go out until those certifications are signed by the agencies. So this is just a reminder to older LROs, and then something for new or LROs to make sure you go into your LRO plan. It's on the left side of your menu, and we'll send an email out with this with the kind of step-by-step description of how to do it. But it's on the left side menu option. You click on LRO plan and sign that PDF document under that LRO plan. Any questions? And I know we are going to put the board, local plan board details on that Google Drive so that you guys will be able to see all of the funding for phase 41. And it's just the 2 pages that has all of the agencies and the amounts that they were awarded. Any questions regarding the LRO certifications? Thank you, Gershon. All right, Gina, back to you.
Thank you, Rashana. All right. So the next slide. All right. So in new business 5B, we have the reallocation of phase ARPA-R funds from new beginnings. Rashana, I hate to do this to you, but I'm gonna tag you back in.
I thought I was behind it. Okay, so I've been trying to work with this organization, and it's because for a moment I hadn't had any contact with the executive director for New Beginnings. We finally got in touch with a son of hers, and unfortunately, she became ill and is no longer able to provide these services. So the son stepped in, and I've been trying to work with him to get the needed information to make sure that they're providing the services. However, that communication has stopped, so we need to reallocate. Um, it's $29,941. We need to reallocate to either another organization or other organizations, and I'm coming to the board to ask for the recommendations. I know in the past we've done the same districts and the same activities. Now they received rental assistance and other food in districts 3 and 5. The other food amount was only 528, but the 29,413 was for rental assistance. Now for the ARPA-R applications, or allocations, there is a total of 5 organizations that are already receiving the same services in these 2 districts. So I want to recommend if I can maybe split it up between the 5 organizations, or what the board would like to see. And this is discussion for the board or.
I just have a quick question. Has the other 5 agencies spent their funds already for ARPA-R?
So according to the reports that we've received, yes. I wouldn't know for sure until the final reports, and that's the hard thing. The final reports, they were supposed to be due, but then they extended the deadline.
And are those other 5 agencies in good standing?
Yes.
I don't know if it's a vote or is it a discussion.
What?
I think it's a great idea.
One of the organizations was newly awarded in phase ARPA-R. Actually, 2 of the organizations were newly awarded in ARPA-R.
And they are all providing shelter?
Yes.
Okay.
Roshana,
I-
was New
I
Beginnings,
agree with that idea.
was New Beginnings specific to a certain district for funding, or is it covering all districts?
It was specific to District 3 and 5. I think, Donna, you had a question or a comment as well?
No, I got it answered. That's fine.
Okay.
I agree with distributing to the 5. Assuming they can use the money, and if not, then distributing to however many can.
Okay. So the motion is to reallocate the 29,941 to the 5 LROs that apply for the same activity in districts 3 and 5.
So moved.
Well, I think a board member would have to make that motion.
I'm okay. Do I need to repeat it all or just
Nope.
make that as a motion?
Okay.
Redistribute to the 5 providing that same service within that district.
Got it.
Perfect.
We just need a second now.
Second.
So thank you, Donna, for making that motion. I'm gonna go ahead and let the team get the information so we can update that. And then with that being said, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Beautiful. Thank you, Rebecca, for the second. With that being said, do we have anybody from here that would like or that would need to abstain? Going once, going
I
twice.
guess I would have to say the 5 organizations, right? For them to abstain.
Yes, yeah, they wouldn't be, they would not be eligible to vote.
Okay, and that's Transgender Health, Hemet Unified, Catholic Charities, RUHS, and Salvation Army, Marietta.
Yes,
Oh, and Valley Restart, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's
6.
actually 6.
Okay, so we had Donna make the motion, Rebecca second. We just confirmed those that needed to abstain. With that being said, the motion has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, team. All right. So on to new business. We have the allocation distribution by district. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Miss Linda.
Sorry. Okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, so as you know, the national board leaves it to the local board to implement a competitive grant process. And right now, the way we distribute the funding allocation, we consider many things, but I think that one of the main things, and Rashana, please, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that we try to divide the allocation amount for district, meaning we want to provide the same amount or similar amount to each district. However, sometimes that doesn't work because the agencies are in different parts of the county. So I wanted us to have this discussion today because I wish I could just share my screen for a minute. Just for a minute, is that okay?
Yes.
Harrison, okay, thank you. And I'm pretty sure that that all of you have these, as this is part of the documents that were attached or included in the meeting. So this is just a quick example, okay, what we're dealing with. So supervisorial district 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, perfect, right? We have an agency, for example, Catholic Charities, in several of those. Not only is not needed, because the national board does not require us to divide or allocate our funding this way. But it's also a little bit confusing when we're working and trying to report something, not only to all of you, but to the executives, so to anyone that would like to get information about EFSP. So it's something that is really not needed. Allocating these funds based on district, it's not required by the national board. So I wanted us to have that discussion and hear what your thoughts on this is. Wow.
If I can help, just add to what Linda has already said, and just enhance it. When the local board, when they provide their jurisdictions allocations, they just go based off of the poverty rate in that actual county, not the districts. I know maybe about 2 years ago, was it last year? No, it was the year before last. We had to update these percentages, and it was I want to say that it was very hard to do that because we had to break up our supervisory district by cities, and we had to go in at every city's poverty percentage and include that and get our average for each supervisory district. So it was an additional step we had to take from the national board already allocating the the county the percentage that they needed to add. So I just want to add that in to that discussion as well, because Linda does bring up a good point that the way we allocate our funding out is a local policy. And we want to ask the board, is that a local policy we want to keep, or is there another way that we can make it a little more streamlined?
Thank you, Rashani. Yes, Mark?
If we change the current policy that we currently have, how would we be able to demonstrate that we are distributing funds equally to various different communities itself?
Well, that's why I wanted us to have this, open discussion, because it is, we don't have anything obviously set in stone other than what we're doing right now, but I think that we've done it with other funding. EFSP, the reality is a very small funding compared to other funding within the COC and also the county. And usually what is used is a score, right, for application. So we can provide a score to certain parts of the application, maybe the scope of work or experience. We can do that instead of trying to accept or allocate funding to this agency because of where they're located. The reality is we cannot cover all of the districts. There are agencies that sometimes they can only do supervisorial district 4 or maybe 1 and 2, things like that. I think that if we change it, and I'm suggesting this obviously, but it's, all of your decision, just adding a score to certain parts of the application and score the application or the agency based on that, and not where they're going to be providing the assistance.
So Linda,
Does that make sense?
just to add, the way we get our allocations is also based on score. So that we are scoring the narrative part of it.
Okay. Well, then why don't we continue doing that, but remove the district information? Because the district information goes nowhere. We don't report it to anybody. That's the Board of Supervisors. They don't get that information either. So is there a way then to keep the score that we currently have, but remove the supervisorial district information and try to divide, okay, based on, I'm Linda Salas, I have agencies that covers the 5. Okay, let me put you down 5 times, Linda, in a template that nobody's going to be able to read or understand.
So if I can share go ahead, Donna.
Yeah, I think I'm following what you're suggesting here, but I'm wondering how. I happen to like the district. It does try to ensure that certain parts of the county get an equitable share of the resource that's available. I'm not sure how just scoring within an application would help ensure that. You're going to have certain districts that are going to have a lot more agencies that apply. And
that is true.
So I guess I'm not sure how helpful that is in terms of who gets what money. And then how that rolls out. I mean, wouldn't it seem like doing it the way you're suggesting, we may end up with a lot more agencies in one particular area and therefore getting a lot more of the money? And of course, Riverside, the western part, would be likely to benefit from that. So how often, I appreciate that there's some difficulty in maybe trying to figure out these percentages, but I don't know, does it really need to be done more often than every 10 years when the census is done?
I'm not sure to
you're
answer that question. I'm not sure when it was last updated before I took over the program, but we did just update it 2 years ago.
Yeah, so why is it coming up now then? See, that seems pretty recent.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because the percentage does not change, but the agencies that apply for the funding, that changes. The amount that they're applying for, and the location. For example, if it's a new agency, it could be in District 3, then we need to start all over again. So the reality is we get applications from different agencies that do not cover all of the 5 supervisorial districts. And I don't have that percentage in Roshana. I don't know if we can get that, but and share that, you know, maybe at a later meeting or an email. But I don't know how many agencies apply and how many get it. How many agencies get the funding? I don't think there is a big difference. Is there, Roshana?
So I was trying to snip something, but I'll just share my screen, and I apologize to these agencies. I just want to share how
The
it's
methodology.
yes,
Thank you, Roshana.
just as an example so that everyone is aware. And the reason why we don't put all of this out here, because if you just looked at it, you probably wouldn't be able to understand it. Do you see my screen where it says phase 38 shelter allocation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the total percentages for the district allocations are at the bottom here. Let me see if I can, because my screen is pretty small. Yeah, it's at the bottom here. 21% for District 1, 10% for District 2, 20% for District 3, 26% for District 4, and then 5 is 23%. Now, those were all based off of the calculations from the average poverty rate, with including all of those cities in each of those districts. We had to include that average. Those where those percentages come from. So based off of score, I don't know if you can see this, but based off of score, that determines what percentage of that funding that they will get in that particular district. So it's based off of score, percentages, and the number of applications in that district. Because if you notice in District 3, we only have 4 requests for shelter, but in District 4, we had more. And District 5 is only 2. So it's based on all of those things, the score, which determines the percentage of that percentage that they get for the district, and then the amount of request. It's a lot, I know.
It is a lot, and the reality is, at the end of the day, if the agency is able to provide services in that district, and we are able to provide that funding, great. But we're going to have areas that are not going to have the services just because there are no agencies that are providing in those areas, services in those areas. So this
I will
percentage
say
here, it's very confusing.
it is confusing. I'm able to get it because I've been it's sometimes I stay up late at night trying to making sure that it's in there. But I do want to say that for all of the applications that I've been working on since I took over the program, we have had an application for every district for every service. Even if it's just 2 in one district for that service. I've never experienced no applications for a particular service in a particular district.
So I don't know if that answers the question, but I see someone's hand up. I think it's 1 second.
Lorraine.
It's me, Lorraine.
So
Hi. I just wanted to add or to echo Donna and Mark's comments on keeping the districts in some way. It doesn't need to look exactly how you're doing it now, but just as far as ensuring the equitable distribution of the funds. I'm on the EFSP board for San Bernardino County, and they do a very similar process. They don't do it by districts, they do it by region. So it's like high desert, Central County, something like that. And then they use population and poverty to determine whatever the total award is, then they use percentages for how much of that total award is allocated to each region. So it sounds pretty similar, and I know it's cumbersome and tricky, and maybe there's an easier way to, I don't know.
Lorraine, may I
yes.
interrupt you for a second? I am so glad that you are part of San Bernardino's EFSP. So now I'm gonna take advantage of it. So because maybe you can give us a little bit more info. Do you know if what they do is they divide the allocation into the 4 or 5 regions? How many regions? It doesn't matter the number, but and they base. Okay, so if we have $1 million, 200,000 is going to region 1. Each region is going to get 200, or is it based on? You mentioned that it's based on the poverty rate and unemployment rate. And so some regions get a little bit more percentage. Is that what you're saying?
Right. It's also population. So in the very remote regions, there aren't as many people, right? So they're not going to get a larger share. Let's say like Central County, like San Bernardino, gets more because there's more population, or the West End, and some of the more remote regions don't get as much. And then it's population and also poverty, and I can't remember if there's other indicators that they use.
Thank you so much. Can I suggest that we get additional information, or maybe do a little bit of research on how they're doing it, not only San Bernardino, but other counties, and see if we can find a better way of reporting. Mark, I think Mark has his hand up.
Sorry. Only other concern I would kind of have is that, for example, the Salvation Army is a large organization. And my concern would be the smaller organizations that don't necessarily have the capacity to be able to write a proposal for a larger population itself. So that would just be my only food for thought itself also.
Yeah.
This is Donna. I'm still feeling very strongly that we need to keep the districts. I'm not sure that adding another consideration other than population poverty is going to help this problem any. It seems like it'll just complicate it even more. I mean, population
Mhm.
poverty is a pretty common way that funds are distributed. So, um, are we are we basically just trying to save the effort that it takes to come up with this percentage, or what problem exactly are we trying to fix?
Thank you for asking that question. No, it's not just that. The reality is the EFSP team or HWS, they really work very hard. So it's not the amount of work because they are so used to it, but at the end of the day, it's really not only the allocation and the days they take to make the formula work based on the applications that they are receiving, but the reporting. Have you seen the reports? I don't know if anyone really needs all of that. Is that necessary?
When you say reporting,
Well,
you're asking, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, on the when we're doing the recommendations, or when it's 5 different sections, and I really know how difficult it is to process them because I used to do that so years ago, to get to that number. So it is really a lot of work. But if that's what you want to continue doing.
Okay, so again, then the problem we're trying to fix is making this less complicated to implement.
It is, I was trying to suggest something that would streamline the process of the allocation when we have to make recommendations. That's one. And two, at the end of the day, we can make these recommendations at the beginning of each phase. But if something happens and an agency is unable to spend the money or something happens, we move at the end of that phase. Money is being moved, and I don't think at that time the poverty level and all of that is considered, right? So at the end of that phase, just because at the beginning certain amount was allocated to the different districts, that doesn't mean they all used it on those districts. Usually, I think they try to stay in the district when they transfer money from one agency to the other, but that's not required, I think. And Rashana, please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. So what Linda is saying, because it's not a national policy for us to allocate by the districts, when they do the reporting into the portal, it does not ask if the funding was spent in a particular district. So we have no way of checks and balances to make sure that the agencies are spending the money in the district that they were funded for. Is that what you're saying, Linda?
Yes. Yes.
Although I do have to say most of the organizations have been trying to stay within their districts. There's been a couple, and I believe we brought it to the local board maybe about a year ago, because I noticed it in the final report. Actually, it wasn't the district allocation. It was the moving of
The allocation.
eligible, yes, activity. Lorraine, you have your hand up.
I was just also wondering if we've had feedback from the supervisors on it, as far as I would assume they would find the information at least beneficial to know how much is being allocated in their district, to what agencies are receiving the services, what type of services are being provided, so that they can make sure that their constituents are aware of those services.
So, and this is just information that I've tried to research. This policy has been in place for decades. I don't even know when it started. I wish, and there's some older people, not older people, but older organizations or board members who have been on the board for longer than I've had the program that may have some historical knowledge. But I've been told that the reason why we do it by supervisory district is because the supervisors at the time wanted to see all of the funding going into their districts. I would have to say I've not received any request since I've taken over the program from any of the supervisors when it comes to EFSP.
Thank you. When I think about this in terms of if we were challenged at some point, in what way would I prefer to defend it? And again, based on history and most all services, most places in the county do try to distribute by area. So I guess I have not heard any compelling reason, appreciating the work that's involved. I appreciate that staff work and that the feds don't care and all of that, but I'm still more comfortable trying to make sure that we do have some equitable way of distributing these funds, because frankly, I can't get my head around how you would use the score to distribute money, and how you could try to ensure any kind of equity from that. The score would then be how well you write the proposal, as opposed to who you're serving.
Yeah, and I think that Rashana mentioned that we could only use a score, right, Rashana? So
we do. But
okay.
it's broken down. It is still broken down by districts. And to Donna, just to your point, if we were challenged by any of the supervisors currently, we would be able to present what we have, and it shows the breakdown.
Yeah,
of what is.
But if we,
okay.
I think I'm saying if we make a change, I mean,
Right.
just in thinking about, you know, in what way would I be more comfortable defending it, and knowing I wouldn't personally have to do that, but just in thinking about it,
Right.
I still think it would be best to have a process by which we're trying to make it equitable based on poverty and need.
Okay. Thank you, Dana. Thank you. This was good feedback, good information.
Do we want a motion on this, or?
I don't think so. I just wanted to have this on the agenda so we could have the discussion, open discussion, and find out what all of you thought about this. So there's no motion that I know, right, Rashana, or am I missing?
No, I thought it was just a discussion.
So are there any board members that do want to make the change?
I don't think anyone wants to make the change. I think everyone wants to keep the same, or I mean, based on the feedback that we received. So, okay, so I think that we need to move forward and move to the next item on the agenda. Is that okay with everyone? Okay, beautiful. What's the next item? All right, I'm sorry, I don't have my agenda. What's the next item on the agenda? Okay, still me. 5D. So homeless management information system. This is a discussion as well. And I wanted us to have this on the agenda because at the last meeting, and even earlier today, there were issues, not issues, but the HMIS requirements for rental assistance and motel assistance. That's I know that's data entry and reporting and all of that beautiful stuff. Having said that, EFSP is a supplemental funding. And usually, you guys know, we're behind with, all of the announces and, reimbursements and all of this. So most of the time, we already assisted or provided the assistance to the individual, maybe months ago, 6 months ago, 9 months ago. I'm not sure that entering that data in HMIS is beneficial, at least under EFSP. And the reason why is because most likely agencies are entering all of that information into their project in HMIS very late. And timeliness, it is an issue with HMIS. And when agencies, and again, I am not the expert, but hopefully we have HMIS people here or HWS, and you guys are the experts, right? Because you also enter this information and do reporting and all of that in HMIS. But as far as I know, timeliness is as important as data quality for our COC, our continuum of care. We do get a score, right, at the end of the year from HUD, and that is important. So I don't know what is the benefit of having the EFSP projects in HMIS. I know that as a local board, we are responsible to create a system to ensure that no duplication of service, right, happen for rent and mortgage and utility expenditures. But that system, my question to you is that system HMIS? Is that what we want? And I don't know if it's really working. Some agencies are entering information very late. If you're assisting Linda Salas today, and hopefully in 10 months, you're gonna be able to claim it and get reimbursed for it. At that time, it doesn't really matter if I'm in a HMIS or not because the assistance was already provided. So I just wanted to have that so you guys can think about it.
Hi, Linda. This is Agustin with Catholic Charities. And the report that I get from both of our managers in Riverside County in regards to HMIS, it's literally what you're saying. And the aspect of if not everyone's using it, then it's not useful for the same reasons that you mentioned. So even though it's a policy, again, just like Rishana, I came into the agency with EFSP already at Catholic Charities for multiple years. So it was very firm and strict that was one of the rules that you couldn't bypass. So our staff are really on top of it. It does create, for me, when I saw it, it did create a lot of extra work for them. There's constantly, I meet with them on monthly basis, weekly basis, and we have a discussion about HMIS, and they are terrified about getting emails saying that there's going to be audits, that there's going to be all this stuff, and they completely disregarding a lot of our other projects that we have to emphasize on HMIS. And then I try to tell them, like, you guys are doing your due diligence, you guys are doing as much as possible. But again, since they come from a different management style, it's like, no, HMIS is our thing, and we're gonna make sure that we're 100%. And they keep telling me, again, I don't do the work. They are the ones that do the work. So they keep telling me about this report in which we're gonna be graded and that we're gonna lose funding if we don't achieve certain standards. So they're really using it. But again, their feedback that they have given me is if other agencies aren't using it, then it's not useful. Now, I'm not throwing this out there because I don't think that's something that I also agree with. Here we also have EFSP San Bernardino and with Catholic Charities, and they don't, as far as I know, they don't use HMIS. Now, I'm not throwing it out there because the way it's been working is that Catholic Charities has acted as the sort of like the source agency. So other agencies saying, hey, I have Agustina Vantes as a client, do you have it? And again, but it's the same concept. If not every agency is actually reporting, then just the need of duplication is still gonna be there. And I think San Bernardino, again, I'm not 100% quoting it because we have another staff that's actually overseeing EFSP for San Bernardino's board. But I think literally once they get all the reports, if Catholic Charities had it first and then X agency had it second, then Catholic Charities gets it first and then the other agency, which just sucks too. So again, I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to do it, but it seems like all agencies need to be on the same page for any system to work.
Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe we just need a new system. Sorry, Rashana.
No, I just wanted to just piggyback off of what Augustine just mentioned. The goal is all of the organizations who receive this funding is required to put it in there. So that's the reason why you keep hearing me remind the organizations to do their project setup, put the information in HMIS, only because I don't see another way of doing a checks and balance. Because even the way that you just described it, that means that at the end of the funding cycle, once you do the reports and the national board gets the two names, whoever provided the support first, that second organization, not knowing that the other first organization provided the information, they're going to have to not be reimbursed for that client. And I don't know if that is what the agencies would want to do. I mean, if we're going to use HMIS, we just need all of the organizations who receive those services to participate and put the information in as timely as possible.
Because, sorry, Linda, go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead, Agustin. Go ahead.
No, because again, I did take the whole HMIS training, like again, almost 3 years ago when I started at the agency to be able to understand it. I don't know. I know it has been changed a little bit throughout the last 3 years, but I think there was a lot of information that might not necessarily be applicable to EFSP. So I don't know, again, throwing ideas out there, if there is any way for us to be able to talk to them to modify it a little, to make it a little bit more simple for agencies. Again, Catholic Charities, it's a bigger agency, but I'm only picturing like a smaller, I don't know, a smaller agency in San Bernardino. We have more churches, for example, that join EFSP, but do they have even the capacity to, use HMIS or the, the personnel to be able to have the capacity to understand? And the pushback a little bit from our clientele, again, don't quote me, I haven't done HMIS in a minute, but don't they ask like certain information that you can bypass? I don't remember if it's socials or something like that, but I think that was one of the struggles that our staff was having with clients, that EFSP doesn't require certain stuff, but HMIS does. Again, unless things have changed, you weren't able to bypass certain stuff. But again, it will be, again, I know you guys mentioned earlier a possibility of a training. even for our staff at Catholic Charities who are very on it, I think it will be great for them to get like a refresher.
We can definitely take that suggestion of modifying the projects, the workflow for EFSP, being that certain information is not required. I do want to say, I do want to say that the information that is collected in HMIS is very helpful when it comes to reporting on the individuals that we're serving through the different service categories. And the HMIS requirement is not for all of the categories currently, but it's just for the categories that have that maximum time assistance.
Gina, I think Gina.
Thank you, Linda. Hi guys, sorry, I just got back to my office, so it's a pleasure to finally see you all. But Augustine, I had heard you with the dilemma as far as not being able to bypass, certain screens, so to speak, if you didn't capture that client information. I can attest to Clarity and its ability to be more functional and user-friendly. There now are workarounds that would allow you to bypass that. Now, the caveat to that is it would require somebody to understand what that workaround is, right? So there are workarounds. So with that being said, maybe training would be helpful so that way y'all can learn those things. But say, for instance, like when it comes to the social security number, what you could do in order to bypass that and continue moving forward with inputting the client's profile, one of the recommendations is they put 00000 all the way across. And then when somebody else comes through, if they see that client and they have the information, then they would be alerted, hey, that wasn't necessarily captured. And then they would hopefully then have the ability to input it. But yes, that would be to answer your question there. And then I had something else that I had heard that I was going to try to speak to provide some clarity on. And unfortunately, it is escaping my memory right now. So just give me a few. And if I think of it, then I'll come back.
Thank you, Gina.
Oh, I thought
Agustin.
of it. So sorry, so sorry. To build
was
off
fast.
of I know it just takes me a second. I just got to put myself under the pressure. And I'm like, all right, cool. So to build off of Rashana's point, in regards to HMIS and the requirements for the data entry, you're absolutely right, Augustine, is that HMIS does require different types of criteria that necessarily, we wouldn't be, on a day-to-day basis, that's not what we're trying to capture. But with that being said, the information that HMIS does capture, it is super helpful when you are trying to report out, and the reports that Clarity or HMIS is able to spit out, so to speak, super imperative. The CAPR and the APR, if anybody here knows what a CAPR and an APR report, consists of, it is tons of different data, and that is really, really helpful when we're trying to report out or when we're trying to apply for future funding. Because usually when you're trying to apply for a grant, especially with state funding, that's the type of information they're going to want to see. So again, it kind of then embeds, if we're able to collect this information, then as a county, if we're utilizing it, then also it would hopefully then give us the opportunity to then be more, not compatible, but more competitive to get future funding.
May I ask a question, because I really don't know how the projects are, set up in HMIS now. Are they set up after the agency has been awarded that, that particular phase?
Mm-hmm.
So each phase has a different project setup?
Yes, and the reason for that is because the time limited on the other shelter and the rental assistance, it's very time limited, and it's specific to one phase. So if you can provide 90 days of rental assistance and or motel assistance for one household, then that's per phase. So you can provide assistance in phase 39, you can provide assistance in phase 40, and you can provide assistance in phase 41. So potentially they can have the potential of receiving assistance for 90 days. I mean, sorry, not 90 days. That would be 180 days.
Oh, I see. In
So
two
6
phases,
months.
right? If we,
Sorry,
okay.
9
So,
months.
and okay, so but by the time that an agency gets awarded, we're already behind, right? Usually, we're already behind in the performance period. Or now, is it better?
Well, some organizations are and some aren't, because remember, EFSP is a supplemental program. So with that being said, the program itself, like rental assistance program, would have already been, it's already being carried out. And then with the additional funding, they can possibly help additional households. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking our reporting will always be late then. I mean, in terms of HMIS, that right? That data entry will be, we will always be behind.
I wouldn't say always be behind. Maybe certain organizations on how they bill to EFSP may be behind, but those other organizations where they already have rental assistance and hey, we've exhausted our rental assistance and this is my supplemental, so now I can help additional people. Those will be the reporting for HMIS should be on time.
Then if they are doing, and I am sorry, everyone, but I think that we really need to discuss this because I don't know if I don't understand the benefit of it. And I've done this for, I know that you probably don't know, but I've done this for many, many years. And the benefit of HMIS as an EFSP project, that's the part that I don't understand. I do understand entering that in terms of, okay, this is the rental assistance that I'm providing to this family, but regardless of the funding source, right? And I'm doing it timely, based on the HMIS charter and hopefully, what HUD is requesting, which is within days of, when the client really enrolled in the project. But if it's EFSP and we're already behind in terms of the performance period, how does that help us? I still don't get it.
So there's two benefits of the HMIS. The one is we can look in, like if your agency was going to provide rental assistance, you can search HMIS to see if that household had already been provided HMIS, and that kind of saves us from that duplication or providing more than allowed assistance. So that's one. The other one is when it comes to reporting, and Donna brought this up at like maybe a year ago regarding the impact of EFSP, and we were able to produce an impact report based on our final reports that were submitted once the spending period was over. However, if we continue with HMIS, we can produce that report, the impact on how many households have been served in real
HMIS.
time when it comes to rental assistance and other shelter, because that is a requirement as it stands now. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. I see. Mark, I think Mark has his hand up.
Yeah, I want to echo Roshana and Gina from an organizational standpoint, from a Salvation Army standpoint. It's about duplication of services itself and reporting. If you go on, you can grab reports of individuals that you have served for various different things that we have provided families all together. And then you can also see what other agencies have provided services to that particular family as well. So it's sharing information across the board. And I'm not sure if San Bernardino has the same type of system, but it's sharing information across the board for Riverside County. So I know it's very helpful. I just looked at it, I think last Friday or something like that. I know it's very helpful for us, and we also use a different system as well, but we also use that particular system as well for reporting and just to find out if there are duplication of services, to see exactly when someone served a family, whether it be Catholic Charities or Lighthouse or whatever the case it is. So it is helpful. if there is a way to streamline some of the questions that pertain to EFSP, that would be my suggestion, but to get rid of it altogether would not serve us well, to be honest with you. That's what I basically want to share.
Mark, I love that.
Mark.
Beautifully,
Thank you,
beautifully said. And then in addition to that, beautifully said, Rashana and Mark, in regards to the duplication of efforts, that is outstanding. Another benefit that I have seen from HMIS is just purely in regards to the case management piece. So we definitely talked about case, HMIS would be more useful and beneficial if everybody uses it. But even in instances where there aren't other agencies utilizing it, if you have a team and your team is utilizing it, it is beneficial to the staff using it because you're able to calendar control. So you can actually set up appointments. So it's like a one-stop shop for case management tools. It allows you to remind yourself. It allows you to interface, so to connect to other staff members or individuals also utilizing that platform. It allows you to visually be able to see like the services rendered. We gave a DMV pass, we gave food, we did a hygiene kit, security deposit, that type of stuff as well. But really the function behind HMIS for individuals using it, it is really, really beneficial, especially with this geolocating feature. Our clients are very mobile. So I have literally seen my staff be able to track, so to speak, an individual. So then when we can't find Jane Doe, I now know she's got 4 different meeting spots that she frequents. And what we have found is that through that geolocation feature, we have now been able to actually find the clients that in other situations they would have just been listed as MIA because we go to where we last known where they were they're not there. We go a second time, they're not there. The third encounter, okay, so now we're closed. But now with these features, you're able to kind of identify a history or identify like their comfort zones, so to speak. So that way you can kind of go and try to really tailor yourself to them and meet the clients where they are at.
Okay.
This is Donna. I've never particularly been involved in the discussions around HIMS because I'm not a provider, so I don't have that kind of experience with it. But this discussions raise a lot of questions in my mind. What kind of reporting? So HMIS information is not going to the federal government? Is that what I'm understanding from this? I thought it was tied somehow to federal reporting.
Not for EFSP, right, Rashana?
That's correct. Not for EFSP. The reason why the HMIS was established is to establish a process by which agencies are doing their due diligence to prevent the duplication of services. Because as Mark, I think Mark or Lorraine, one of them mentioned that if a household is served more than 90, is provided with assistance more than 90 days in a particular phase, whoever submits their report first, that's who's going to be reimbursed. The agencies who submits it second will not be reimbursed because that it is a maximum, it's time limited.
Okay, reimbursed by who?
The FEMA, the federal government. So while HMIS report don't go to FEMA, our final reports that we submit does go to FEMA.
Okay, but they're not funding based on an individual, right? The money comes to us and we distribute it in lump sums to these agencies, correct? To provide
That's correct, but what the reports consist of is households' names for the individuals that they serve. So that information is provided to the national board through those reports and how much of assistance they provided.
Okay, well, I'm not sure I'm understanding, but I don't want to take up everybody's time on some of this. So what you're saying is, so to move on, you're at this point, if an agency is not using the system, they're told they're supposed to, right? And that's a requirement of their contract, but there's no consequence if they don't.
I mean, there's potential for a consequence. And that potential for consequence could be not being reimbursed for a household that they provided services to because that household had already received services with another agency and they've already reimbursed that other agency for a particular household. So there is a potential consequence. And this step was put in place by the local board to kind of make sure that agencies it avoided agencies having that consequence.
And may I add, HMIS, I think that's a wonderful system. The reality is we do get a lot of information, not only for reporting purposes, but to help the client at the end of the day. We do get information that that help us identify better programs or services for the clients. So I think it's a great system, but we're not using it timely.
But I think
right.
that's the issue. If it's a requirement, there should be a consequence if you don't use it. If we feel it's so valuable, then isn't there some way to be a little more, you know, hard-nosed about requiring people to use it? Otherwise, how are you going to know if there's duplication or not?
Correct. So we can look into what we hate to be so punitive. We just want to keep, we want the agencies to keep serving. We'll just keep, we have to keep reiterating that it needs to be utilized so that we can avoid the bigger consequence, which is not being reimbursed for a household.
Yeah, at some point I'd like to better understand that, because if they're getting a lump sum of money and they spend it on a family that's been served in another area, I don't know that there's any way to catch that then if they're not entering anything.
Correct.
Correct. Agustin, you have your hand up.
Yes, and I guess too, I don't want to say close the circle on this topic, but something that I've been talking here with Kathy Cherries and the rest of the staff, something for you guys to also think about it is that when it comes to HMIS, duplication of services, depending of most agencies should already be done with ARPA 3940. So one of the things that we've been seeing with the trends, not just with this contract, but with other contracts, is that the reduction of money is decreasing by a lot. So with that, then not I'm not gonna say the need is gonna be reduced, but when it comes to EFSP HMIS, the data entry is gonna be less, the potential duplication of services is going to reduce because there's going to be less money to spend when it comes to this program. So that's something that we're looking into on our end. So staff are already seeing a huge decrease on time spent on HMIS because we're not spending the ARPA money, all of that money that we did for the COVID year. So maybe that should help other agencies as well to see it that way.
Thank you, Agustin. Okay, so I think we need to move forward. I think that's okay.
Great discussion, though. Great discussion. I am going to look into, I'm going to get with our HMIS team to see if maybe we can do a modified project workflow for EFSP. Because I'm hearing you guys say it's a lot of information that EFSP does not require.
That is correct. And not only that, again, I go back to timeliness, right? Sorry, but to me, it would be useless if I help the family today and I enter in HMIS for EFSP in 8 months, and then Agustin comes and he enters it, he helped the family too. One of us is not gonna get paid, and that's gonna happen because we both already assisted the family several months ago when we didn't know about this phase whatever allocation, right? So maybe, I'm just thinking, maybe we can talk to HMIS team and see if there's a way to have that project in HMIS, as you mentioned, Rashana, with maybe less information, right? Because it's EFSP. And then after, when we get the award, maybe is there a way to mark something within that enrollment that says this is EFSP 40 or EFSP 41 or something, but the enrollment is there regardless of the funding source. You know that the Linda received rental assistance in the month of January of 2024.
That
And
sounds
later
good.
on, you know, something like that, because then you'll know, oh, she received rental assistance. Right. So,
So our
Agustin?
HMIS team, I did see them on, and they could maybe answer the question, but I saw Augustine with his hand up. So before, I don't know if his question was answered or not.
No, I was just gonna say, and again, I don't know how other agencies are doing it, but just going back to training, I think it's highly needed for all of us to be on the same page. There's been a lot of transition at different agencies. Just here with Catholic Charities, we have whole new staff from like, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. But just to follow up on what you mentioned, Linda, here at Catholic Charities, staff are prompted. We have a check request procedure and policy. So they're not able to request or get a check approved related to EFSP without having that HMIS verification or something. So we see that Salvation Army, Lutheran Social Services, or someone else is already there and they haven't taken the client off. We made the attempt to call the agency, make sure that they close it, if they help them or not. But again, on my part, I'm not gonna approve or sign a check that's not been verified through HMIS first. So again, it's just, again, best practices on each agency. But again, I think training is highly needed because again, at the end of the day, it's gonna be Catholic Charities paying off if we sign a check on duplication of services and until it gets resolved. So we're just trying to do best practice on our end.
Okay. Thank you so much, Agustin. Thank you all for the discussion. I think that we need to move forward and maybe reach out to HMIS, right, Rashana, and see if they can provide additional training and share the information with them. I think they're here. I think they're attending the meeting.
They are. Gordon, there he is, our wonderful Gordon.
Hey, Linda. Hey, Rachana. So I've been, on a fly on the wall, listening to super helpful information. And it sounds like so we have our individualized, HMIS training that everyone receives prior to getting a license. But it sounds like what would be helpful is if we co-develop a training with our programs team. And review the requirements and take a look at what would be the most efficient way to enter information into our system that's the most helpful to our COC, and then conduct the training kind of based on that notion. Does that sound like I'm getting on the right track?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Wishana, we'll have some collaboration time in the upcoming days. So
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you so much. Okay, then moving on. I don't know if it's me, the one that it's Gina. I apologize. Okay, thank you all.
No worries. Thank you, Linda. All right. So next up, item 6 on the agenda, in regards to the next meeting. The next meeting will occur on August 7th, 2024 from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So please put that on your agenda. August 7th looks to be a Wednesday. So we'll be seeing each other on Wednesday, August 7th. And then outside of that, we have item B, which is call for agenda items. If you have any agenda items, then you can email efsp@rivco.org. Do we have any announcements? I may have gotten ahead of myself. Is that the next slide? There we go. Number 7. Do we have any announcements? Is anybody on this call, would they like to announce any fairs or any resources that they know are available? I'll go. Oh, sorry.
This is-
I'll go. Oh, sorry. So sorry, Donna. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before you got to announcements, could we have on the agenda then a regular? Maybe we need to have HMIS as an agenda item so we can kind of stay on top of and get updates and whatever about any work that's being done on it.
Yeah, we could totally create HMS to be like a standing item on the agenda.
Thank you.
Great suggestion.
Thank you, Donna. All right, going back into announcements. I do have a couple of announcements. Tomorrow is Thursday, May 2nd. There is going to be a veteran resource fair that is occurring in Moreno Valley at the Moreno Valley Convention Center. It is a really cool resource fair. It actually has, I want to say, like 5 or 6 different breakouts for the veterans and for staff that is able to attend as well, for those that are servicing and case managing veterans. So I highly recommend that you guys go, or if you have anybody that is in need, share the wealth. That is to occur again tomorrow, Moreno Valley Rec Center, from the hours of 9 to 1. And I probably should have led with this, but there will be lunch provided. So for the attendees and individuals that are assisting with the resource fair, if you're tabling, lunch will be provided. Tomorrow's a busy day because in addition to that, there is going to be the 5th District Homeless Symposium out in Banning. So that is also occurring tomorrow. I want to say between the hours of 2 and 4. Outside of that, those are the only upcoming events that I'm aware of. Does anybody else on this call have any announcements that they would like to share? All right, with that silence going once, going twice, I think we can continue moving forward. All right, so this is going to be the adjournment. Thank you guys for attending today's meeting. Again, lovely reminder, the next time I shall see you will be on Wednesday, August 7th from 10 to 12. With that being said, it's 11:31, so we can go ahead and officially close out this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
you, Gina. Thank you, Linda.
Take care. Thank you. Take care.
Appreciate it.
Ciao.
Bye.